In the journey we have taken so far with Patta history, we have told you stories of great kings and ambitious queens, of brave rebellions and ruthless governments, of life-changing journeys and unparalleled cultures. But all of this within the confines of the great Lankan chronology that began in 543 BC with the arrival of Prince Vijaya, ending the lesser-known era of the pre-Anuradhapura period of the Yaksha and Naga tribes. But what came before that? A long time before that. What do we know about Lanka preceding its human civilization? This is the story of prehistoric Lanka, a land before Rajarata. Rewind back 290 million years ago, when all the continents of the world were a single supercontinent known as Pangaea. What is known as Lanka today was a small area surrounding what will be India, Madagascar, Mozambique, and Antarctica. Isn't it surreal to think that Point Deundara, the south end of Lanka, was a part of the coldest place on Earth? But fossil records of prehistoric Lanka only include the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and the early Iron Ages from 300,000 BP to 1000 BC. Any species prior to this timeline, like dinosaurs, do not appear in Lanka's fossil records as of yet. And this is most likely due to a lack of archaeological excavation, and not because dinosaurs did not roam Mesozoic Lanka. But no one can deny that the island of Sri Lanka today is home to hundreds of species. What most of us don't know is that some of these endemic birds, like the jungle fowl, are direct descendants of the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex, and reptiles like the mugger crocodiles, whose ancestry can be traced all the way back to the Triassic period, even predating the T-Rex. All things considered, the chances for dinosaurs to have not existed in Lanka are slim, even though we haven't discovered any dinosaur fossils. Sir Arthur C. Clarke even christened a close cousin of the Ankylosaurus as Serendipiceratops for the island of Serendib, the old Arab name for Sri Lanka. From 1883, two Swiss naturalists and archaeologists and second cousins, Paul and Fritz Saracen, started making several scientific expeditions to Sri Lanka and Indonesia, and their research would first mark Lanka's own Stone Age. By 1908, they found fragments of vertebrate fossils and stone tools in archaeological sites in Putlam, Muskelia, and Bandarvilla, but had little sense of what to make of it all, because these discoveries were completely unexpected and new. And so, the Saracens focused their attention on the anthropological aspects of their findings. After the Saracens, famed educationalist Charles Hartley, a principal of Royal College, and his contemporary Edward James Wayland, a British geologist, conduct further prehistoric research. But it would take even further excavation and the works of Dr. Paul's Edward Piris Deraniyagala to make some chronological sense of the Paleolithic discoveries of Lanka. Being an excellent paleontologist, zoologist, and even a paleo-artist, he specialized in ancient fauna, fossils, and even early human ancestors. His brother, Justin Deraniyagala, whose story we will also tell, is a member of the Colombo 43 group, a school of modern art established as Ceylon transitioned into independence. Dr. Deraniyagala is the director of the National Museum of Ceylon from 1939 to 1963, and also later went on to become the president of the Ceylon branch of the Royal Asiatic Society from 1952 to 1955. He became the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences at Vidyodaya University, which is the present-day University of Sri Jayawardenepura. His work would further extend through his son Dr. Siran Deraniyagala, a modern archaeologist of Lanka. Arguably, Dr. Deraniyagala's most famous work revolves around the discovery of Adam's Bridge. According to his discoveries of several endemic subspecies of prehistoric Lanka, who are believed to have migrated from India during the early Miocene era. As a result of Lanka shifting further away from India, large deposits of lime and mud had created a strip of land roughly 100 kilometers wide and 50 kilometers long. This migratory bridge, connecting the two land masses, and which acted as a migratory connector for plant life and animals, has been revealed 17 times over the course of 700,000 years and is still visible through satellite images, and depending on the level of the sea, even to the naked eye. Hindu mythology refers to this strip of land as Rama's Bridge. According to the mythos, it was created by Hanuman so that Rama may pass through the sea to defeat the demon emperor Ravana of Lanka. Over time, many species had migrated and evolved into endemic subspecies of their continental counterparts, as the bridge acted as a connector for the island as well as an isolator. Many of Lankan freshwater fish are identical to those of India, suggesting that connection between India and Lanka must also have had freshwater rivers for the fish to migrate. There is enough evidence found of waterways and animal fossils creating imagery of a humming wetlands that brimmed with life, some species of which came all the way from the African continent. Then, in 1937, something special happened. Dr. Deraniyagala discovered two feline teeth, a carnassial and a canine. And he went on to describe something completely revolutionary. Dr. Deraniyagala animatedly describes the Panthera leo-singhaleus, a newly discovered subspecies of an ancient lion that migrated to Lanka from the Paleolithic landscape of India. The fossils do not offer sufficient information as to what the leo-singhaleus looked like, but Deraniyagala's artistic renderings look like Panthera leo atrox, an American counterpart of the same species. Despite its supposed prehistoric migration, Lanka does not have any lions among its vast gallery of animals. In fact, the only place one might find an Asian lion is a small population inside the Gaur National Park in Gujarat. So what became of the Lankan lion? For the longest time, Deraniyagala's speculation was problematized on the grounds that a single set of teeth would not be sufficient evidence to point to a new subspecies of prehistoric lion. But as fate would have it, more discoveries were made in 1947, and in 1962, a second find of a complete right limb middle phalanx was discovered from the Battadomalena prehistoric cave, a home sweet home for the Stone Age Lankan. This shed some light on how prehistoric Lankans hunted the endemic Lankan lion to extinction, despite the fact that leo-singhaleus was a terrifying beast. However, there is another speculation that suggests the bones found in the Battadomalena are actually from an early leopard, and that the leo-singhaleus died off with the emergence of monsoon rainforests, a time long before the caveman. It was thought that leo-singhaleus has its origins in the African savanna, making it difficult for them to adapt to heavy rains and rainforests, and that they eventually died off, while a more adaptive ancestor of the Lankan leopard, Panthera pardus cotia, became the apex predator of the region. Another excavation at the Ratnapura gem deposits reveals the fossilized lower jaws of what is thought to be a Lankan hippopotamus, identified by 6 incisor teeth on a lower jaw, an impressive number considering the modern African hippo only has 4 incisors. Hexaprotodon singhaleus, as Deraniyagala dubbed the animal, was the second heaviest land mammal to ever walk this island, and probably thrived well in the early Pleistocene because of heavy rainfall that fed enormous water bodies. Ultimately, Hexaprotodon too went extinct by the middle Pleistocene as a result of climate change, changing patterns of rainfall, or a possible period of drought perhaps starved the mammal. From the same archaeological site that found Hexaprotodon, astonishingly, Deraniyagala found the remains of not one, but 2 different extinct subspecies of rhinoceros. Rhinoceros singhaleus and Rhinoceros cargavena are differentiated with their different teeth, and the former is believed to have gone extinct sooner. Both of these rhinos live in wet rainforests and show traits more similar to the Javan rhinoceros than its Indian counterpart, who prefers the open floodplains as their habitat. This also helps archaeologists determine that the Ratnapura and Kuruvita areas were probably vast marshlands with a closed canopy rainforest that was home to diverse ecosystems. But perhaps the most elaborate and important discovery would be the endemic subspecies of the ceylon gaur. This animal is discovered in the fossil records in large numbers, but it wouldn't be fully identified until 1962, when a complete skull with 2 horns in good condition was found. Digging further into the research, the findings shocked the archaeologists. Colloquially known as gavara, the ceylon gaur was dubbed Bibos singhaleus by Dr. Deraniyagala in 1962. It is a very large, bison-like animal with a thick, dark coat of fur hugging its extremely muscular build. This subspecies of bison is the strongest and largest of wild cattle, and some grew up to be as large as a rhinoceros. Gavara is speculated to have migrated from India through the Adams Bridge in the late Pleistocene, but it would not go completely extinct until the colonial era. They were smaller than the Indian gaur and very few in number. Several British writers recorded eyewitness accounts of the Gavara in the island from as early as 1861. All written records point towards the Highland Horton Plains as the home of the last Gavara subspecies. Robert Knox, in an historical relation of Ceylon, writes about a large bull-like creature called Gawera among King Rajasingha II's royal animals, but most importantly, Knox specifically mentions that there was only one of them. Among several other accounts of Englishmen, even Emerson Tennant from our Veerapuranapu episode references a witnessing of a Gavara in the wild. It is even mentioned in local legend that as a royal tradition, the final test to prove oneself fit to be a bodyguard for the king himself would be to take on a Gavara and live. By all accounts, excessive hunting by the early Lankans, the population of Bibos Singhaleus was kept in check, and with the practice of cattle herding and farming, it would have made sense to tame smaller and lesser powerful cattle like the common cow or buffalo. This likely left Gavara as a prestigious sport hunt from early civilization. In fact, a popular speculation about the extinction of Gavara is that the British hunted the last of the already endangered population into complete extinction. But even the mighty Gavara was not Dr. Deraniyagala's most influential discovery. There would come a time that he would reset the human history of the planet and redefine Lanka's ideas of its ancestry. These are the first inheritors of Lanka. First discovered at an archaeological site in Balangoda, Homo sapiens balangodensis, or the Balangoda man, existed on Lankan soil even at around 125,000 BP. As the Homo erectus discovery, led by historian Raj Somadeva in 2011 suggests, Balangoda man's ancestor possibly migrated into the island through the Adams Bridge in 300,000 BP. And yet, information about their lifestyle only traces back to around 34,000 BP, and much of it is still unknown in a chronological sense. The average Balangoda man stood at 174 centimeters or 5.7 feet tall, with exceptional bone density, strong muscles, thick ridged skull, and large teeth with a powerful jaw. Categorized as a subspecies of Homo sapiens, the Balangoda man was quite close to a modern human in fundamental anatomy. The study of the material found on Balangoda man and related excavation sites enabled Deraniyagala to identify a phase of Sri Lanka's prehistory, which he termed the Balangoda culture. The Balangoda cultures are found throughout the island in Batadubalena, Ravanayalla, Yakkirilena, Kabaragalge, and Bellan Bandipalassa, primarily in the provinces of Sabaragamuwa and Uva. At Ravanayalla, a skull bone was discovered fashioned into an ornament, with holes drilled in and red paint smeared over. At Bellan Bandipalassa, archaeologists discovered 12 burials of Homo sapien balangodensis carried out in accordance with ritualized funeral rites, buried along with the remains of fruit, pig, sambar, cow, and monkey. Some were even found buried deliberately in a fetal position, removing all doubt that this ancient man was a cultureless being. The burial site provided more important artifacts that paint a picture of what life and ingenuity might have been like for the Balangoda man. He uses daggers carved out of sambar antlers, decorates with ornamental fish bones, and wears beads made of seashells, and even a shark vertebra, despite the fact that the nearest coast is located around 100 kilometers away. The Balangoda man's diet consists of any and all types of animals of flesh and bone, from rats, snails, monitors, fish, snakes, and even elephants. There were even signs of occasional cannibalism. Balangoda man lived in the Valley of Plenty, which explains their strong build, but there is evidence to suggest that they mostly ate their meat raw, even in the Neolithic era, when they knew how to make fire and even engaged in basic agriculture. The life of Homo balangodensis was very much like the pre-modern Vadda lifestyle, except instead of settling down in one place, they built temporary camps that they changed with the seasons, and they lived in small nuclear family units, forming a larger tribe. The chronological evolution towards modern man from Homo sapien balangodensis can be observed through another special discovery made in the Fahian caves in Pahiyangala, discovered in 410 BC by a traveling monk known as Fahian, who was on a mission to locate sacred Buddhist texts. 48,000 years before, the cave was home to early modern humans, whose ancestor was the Balangoda man. The discovery is significant. Over 100 arrowheads made out of sharpened bones are found within the cave, all crafted by Neolithic man to hunt down animals. From around that point onwards, as we understand it, the Iron Age was upon the Balangoda man. Anthropologists and historians have always found a deep connection between the Balangoda man and the Vedda community of Lanka. In fact, Deraniyagala himself confirms that the genetic similarity between the modern Vedda and the Balangoda man is uncanny. Some Sinhalese groups of people are also candidates of the same genome, making the Balangoda man a common ancestor of the two groups. The rationale for this comes from the bone density and the Neanderthal ridge of the forehead, prominent traits of the Balangoda man that are exclusively seen today on local Veddas. But what does this all mean for us today? As we peel away the layers of our identity and our origins, we must be thankful to paleontologists, anthropologists, and historians like late Dr. Pauls Edward Piris Deraniyagala that remind us where we truly come from and that we once shared these lands with beasts we could not even think possible today. Thank you for watching Prehistoric Lanka, a land before Rajarata. Make sure to like, subscribe and hit that bell button to get notified of new episodes of Patta History. This episode was supported by historicaldialogue.lk, an initiative of the program Strengthening Reconciliation Processes in Sri Lanka. Thank you for your support. Do check out our Patreon for great membership benefits. Thank you to our Patreon community for their support. Check out our Patreon membership page for great benefits, including voting on upcoming Patta History stories.